Hello and welcome back everyone to Blood Rush League round one of our main bracket. Today we have Sirenia vs PMA. With Sirenia killing first, we've got our artist and our Billy sets today. So Sirenia's killer, I Miss Her, which I absolutely love that gamer tag. That is phenomenal. They are currently starting a chase in Shack. But before we get into the casting of the gameplay, I have my co-caster here with me, Lucky. Hello, Lucky. How are you?
Hi Jen, yes, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
How are you feeling about today's matchups?
I am intrigued. I don't know much about Sirenia and PMA, so I'm excited to see what each team can bring and yeah, just how the match is gonna go really. Also not seen many artist games on Gas Haven, I think this is, so interested to see how that goes as I see our killer is breaking main just to make it a little bit less strong for our survivors. And we are still just sending out birds, trying to find survivors as we find a Jake there. As we send out 3 more. Oh, and actually hit him with another bird, so he loses a health state. But not committing to anyone just yet. But we are going to be just stopping that gem from progressing. Patrolling gens with our birds as we get another tag on the ace over there. Gonna be trying to. Oh, he's stuck in a corner. Oh, he gets tagged. Oh, that is rough for our ace. Looks like he's in a bit of a spot at the moment as he drops the firecracker, trying to blind the killer. And we have our first down from the artist. As I think no pain res hooks nearby as the first gem pops. Unfortunate RNG for the pain res hooks there. But I think it wouldn't have mattered because the gen popped before she got there anyway. But yeah, fairly average. Good start from both sides. I think 1 hook, 1 gen. It's not anything surprising at the moment. As I Miss Her, great game attack, is trying to locate any other survivors and see what gens they're on. Which, by the way, that is a very good gen to do, I think. The gens are kind of in a circle all the way around the map, so there's quite a lot of gen split potential. Not many 3 gens for our killer to try and abuse. As we do get a tag on the Renato, who pulls the ace. And we're going to be chasing the Renato here. Interesting to not go for the tunnel on the ace. As our Renato is looping Shack. Very well played, very patient from the Renato to avoid those birds. As a second gen pops, I believe that's over by main. Ooh, as Renato does get tagged over the window, not enough for a down though. As a third gen pops, just as we get a down on the Renato. It's a very, very, very efficient gens from our survivors here, from Sirenia. As we're still holding on and still have our 4 pain reses in our that haven't been used yet. As we do locate the Jake. Who somehow dodges those birds, but does end up taking a tag anyway on the pallet. As I think our killer is in a bit of trouble here. There is quite a lot of gen split. But she does have her birds to help her be able to pressure those gens and keep them from getting done, as the Renato seems to not care. that the artist is near him and just decides to jump on a gen. He takes a tag over the window. It is looking rough for our Renato here, as I think he's just going to die in the corner, yep. And this will be our third hook of the game, second on Renato. Which I believe that was a tactical decision from the Renato to die in that corner, because there's no way the artist could make it to the pain res, so that has just made her perk almost completely useless in this match because of the RNG of the pain res hooks. But it's looking a bit rough for our artist here, as we get instinct on that gen over there, so we know there's people over there. And also the Thalita. I think that's the first time we've seen the Thalita this game, as it looks like we are just going to be proxying to secure this kill, which I think is a good strategy from our artist, as they have already made a lot of progression on the gens. As we see Thalita just using the blockers to get the birds off her straight away. But they do get the unhook on the Renato, who is going to try and survive as long as he can, as the fourth gen does pop. And Renato somehow manages to dodge those birds again. So he's going to drop the pallet, and he does get caught just on the edge by that bird, and this is going to be the first kill for I Miss Her. So now 3 survivors left. Really good gen split by the survivors. And I believe that Shaq does have a lot of progress, as the Thalita has been working on it, yep. But Sirenia did get, or I Miss Her did get to use pain res, so that's progressed, regressed again, the gen, 20%. But just trying to use the birds, trying to find survivors, as this gen is still regressing. Oh, it looks like we're going for a cheeky basement check, see if anyone's down there. Doesn't look like it. They could be in a locker, but that is very, very risky. As... oh, we do find 2 survivors stacking a gen. And we get the noise notifications that they're using the lockers to immediately get rid of the birds. But we do find Jake here, and I believe we get to a tag, yep. Not committing. Smart play to try and patrol these gens, stop progression. I think the artist here really needs a down, or just to utilize that pain res, because these gens are only going one way, and that is them progressing to being done. As it is... ooh, Shaq does have about 70% progress on it, so kicking that just to help it regress. But without eruption and only really having pain res left as a gen slowdown perk, it's looking kind of difficult for our artist to be able to stop these gens getting done, really. As we do find Thalita, this is the first chase for Thalita. I believe Moof, he was called Moof. As Moof takes it to main, very smart, away from the gens. The strongest area of the map as well, as she does pre-drop and tries to entice the killer to chase her, I believe. taking a free hit just to stop the killer from going over to the gen, as I believe Shaq is very, very close to popping. And yeah, there are 2 in Shaq. Looks like they're just going to be committing, and they do get the gen done. So that is all 5 gens popped, as Ace repels the birds. Nice pause. But is end up going to taking tag, going through the pallet. As the gates are open, and Ace goes down, so this is looking like a 2-man out, as Moof has already left the building. So that is looking like a 2-man out for Team PMA. As we just found the tires. But I think that's a fairly average result. I'm not sure on artist sets, but we'll have to wait and see how PMA do on the alternative side after a short intermission. Welcome, welcome, welcome back to our second trial, where we have PMA on Killer, who was just alt-tabbing there for a second, who we have Moof. I'm not sure which one it is. Moof sounds better, so I'll go with that. But yeah, similar build with a few changes. I believe Grim Embrace, Eruption, and also Hex Wretched Fate. So different perks, as we do get a tag on Jake, who also has birds on him. He's been found very early on in the trial, as it looks like we've found our first chase to commit to already. As we're going to be... No, mind gaming back. Find the Jake, and that's a first down. That is a quick first down. On as... Oh, the beam save not coming through there. Not sure who was on the beam, but unfortunate they didn't get an angle there to be able to save the Jake. But there is 1 stack of Grim Embrace. Just a little bit more. It seems like their perks are more just for general slowdowns. And they've opted not for Pain Res, which is interesting because it is a very, very strong perk. And it's almost base kit to have, just because of how strong it is. But interesting to see if it works out for Moof or not. We'll find out. As looks like we're just going to be proxying the Jake on hook, which seems like the right thing to do. I don't think there's much progress on these gens. Just going to be sending out birds, trying to locate survivors, see if anyone's coming in for the unhook, as it looks like we are going to be confirming the Jake to hit second. Yep, this looks like a Jake hitting second, as he does hit second, and we do have progress on this gen over here, but birds did not tag anyone, so they may have pre-run, they may be hiding. As, oh, we do find a Quinton on gen in mid, which will kick, so both these gens now has Eruption procced on them. And we do see the Nia as well, who looks like she's going to be taking a hit, which she does. As the gen over at 9 does pop, and that's our first gen of the trial, which is coming in quite late, but there are gens with some progress on. And it's looking like the Jake is almost about to be out of the trial, which could pose a big problem for Sirenia, as losing a member of the trial at 4 gens is not ideal, as I believe they do get the Wretched Fate Hex straight away, so that perk has been and gone and is now useless. As Jake does exit the trial at 4 gens, which could prove very costly for Sirenia. But there is a lot of progress on these gens, it's just whether Sirenia can remain stealthy and not give Moof this eruption that she has procced on these gens. As we do see the Quentin vaulting into main, making sure not to take a hit. But Moof is now breaking main just to make it a little bit less strong than it already is on this map. Main is definitely the place you'd want to be taking chase, as it's very, very strong. But we do see the Quentin pre-dropping, going around main. It looks like he won't make it to the pallet. He does end up taking a hit. Still looping around main. Nice tag from Moof with the birds there. As we're going to be trying to take the chase away from the gen, as a gen does pop in the background. I believe that was mid. That was mid. Very important gen to pop in this. Kind of make sure that there's no three gen possibility. As Quentin doing a very good job here. Duking and moving away to take as much time as possible, as he does end up dying in the corner, and we do get eruption value over on 3, I think it was. As we are going to be picking up the Quentin, but no pain res, which would provide a lot of slowdown, but we will be getting our second stack of Grim Embrace, as the 3rd gen does pop over at, I believe, 5. And yep, there's the second stack of Grim Embrace. Not lasting very long, but if they do manage to get 4 stacks, that will prove very, very effective. But I just don't think that is happening in this game. But we'll wait and see. As, oh, we do see a survivor over there in the corner trying to stealth edge map, but does get spotted. They are injured as well. It's going to be Moon. And this is not looking good, as they do get hit and taken down. But the UE dub is able to pull the Quentin. As I take it back. Grim could provide great use in this match, as there's a 3rd stack, which will be blocking the gens. So 1 more, and then that will block the gens for 60 seconds, I believe, which could prove a turning point in this game, as it was looking very rough for the survivors, losing Jake at 4 gens. But this could be the start of the turnaround for Sirenia. As all the Yui does get hit with a bird there, losing a health state, but is still making her way around main with some distance. Will she make the window? Oh, she does not make the window, unfortunately. I feel like resilience may have helped her make that window, but obviously they don't. That's not available here. As there's the 4th stack of Grim. And we're still at 2 gens. Not sure how much progress has been able to be made on these gens, as they've had to unhook and reset, but they still haven't reset. But there goes the 4th stack of Grim. 60 seconds, I think, of gens being blocked, as it looks like we're seeing if anyone is hiding round for the unhook, which doesn't look to be. Not much progress on that gen either. The survivors are now in a bit of a tricky spot, with not so much gem pressure and Dub being on the hook. But it looks like they do manage to get a reset in, which we have no idea, me and Moof have no idea exactly where that reset is happening, but we do see some scratch marks, and it looks like it was happening over at the broken truck. Or it may have been a med kit. It looks like it was a med kit because Moon is over at Shack. As Dub does hit second. Oh, and it looks like Moon's in a spot above her here. As Moon goes down, but Quinton does move in for the save on Dub. So we are still at 3 survivors. This seems like a game that's only going to go one way, with the killer eventually whittling down the survivors' hook stages and it being a 4K2, maybe 4K1, which would not be enough for PMA, but we will see if this game turns around. As we do spot Quinton trying to get some pressure on Shaq Gen, as he does vault in and takes a hit for his troubles, and looks like we'll be dancing and then dropping Shaq. As this is not looking good for our survivors. But there is a gen over by 3, which I believe they may be able to pop, as it is very, very far away from the rest of the gens. But we'll see Moof trying to snipe the person off the gen, but with the distance, they're able to dodge it in time. As we see a standoff at the pallet, which the Quinton does win, but he is going to be in trouble here as he crouches, tries to dodge, does dodge the birds, but ends up taking a hit. As Moon does die on hook, and we'll be leaving the Quinton on the floor, and we have found the Yui. So it looks like this is going to be a 4K2. As we... Oh yeah. As it secures the win for PMA, as Jen put very well. So this set goes to PMA. Very well played by Moof and our survivors. And we'll be back for the second set after a short intermission, so stick around. And welcome back to the second set of our matches here today, with PMA taking the first win, as we see Moon has already been found and hooked by the Billy, as we're getting some lovely Jake movement here, some lovely Gen gameplay on our end, but very quick hook for our Billy here for PMA, as he does find the 2 survivors on the Gen. And it looks like we're going to be sticking with Jake on this one, as the Quinton does get downed with no mither. But it looks like the Yui went in for the Feng save, as we also get some lovely 360 views from S here on Jake. Who is now stealthing, and yeah, so this will be a Billy set on Greenville Square, which I'm sure for those of you who are familiar will want to leave the statue gen and main gen last, just to avoid any 3 gen shenanigans that could go down on this map. It looks like we have finally gone over to the Billy. And we can have a look at his perks, which it looks like he does have Ruin, Dying Light, Undying, and Discordance, as he does give the Yui a little slap there and then sprints back to hook, just to make sure no one's going to be unhooking Zedge. As we do stay here just to confirm this second hook. And off we go, down to 9 towards Shaq. As we can fly around the map, basically as Billy on this map. Especially in overdrive. as we are just going to be sprinting around looking for scratch marks, looking for survivors. Still at 5 gens after 3 hooks, as we do find the Yui, who is going to take another slap again over the pallet, but not committing there. Looks like we're going to be going back just as they do get the unhook onto the Quinton, who it now looks like is going to be tunneled. As he does do well there, gets the stun on the Billy just to buy some distance, does make it to another pallet, chooses not to use or go that way, goes back to the pallet he's already dropped as, oh, unlucky from the Billy, does get stuck on those rocks, as I'm sure. Oh, but he does get him by the tree, as I'm sure those rocks, for those Billy mains out there, know how annoying those can be. But we are going to keep the Quinton down on the floor and go for the Jake, taking a tag on the Jake. But I'm sure Mufazaway does have no Mither, so he will be able to pick himself back up if he is left on the floor, as it looks like he is checking around, making sure no one is going to be there for the save, as he does seem to be very paranoid that there could be someone lurking. But he does eventually pick up. Which, yeah, obviously no Mither, normal perk to be running against Billy, who has a lot of power for slugging. Oh. What happened to the screen? And welcome back. Apologies, we had some technical issues on our end where we, well, to put it short, PC crashed. So we didn't get to see the end of that game, which PMA got a 4K1. So Sirenia now needs a, or PMA, sorry. No, Sirenia now needs a 4K2 to in order to win this set. But yeah, looking at dub on Billy here, trying to get the dub. Sorry, I had to say it. Someone had to say it. As he does have Bamboozle, which we're seeing him vault twice. For some cheeky mind games, and he does also have Thanophobia and Undying and Ruin, but it looks like Ruin and Undying have already gone at 5 gens, which is not looking good for Dub here, as that's 2 of his perks that have now become essentially useless, and he is stuck with only Thanophobia being his slowdown perk. But we'll see if that makes a difference as not or not, as we're still looking for our first down. As nice movement there from the ace. As it looks like he is going to be looping those 2 pallets together, dropping both of them, and taking it back to Shaq. As it looks like our killer has decided to leave. No, he hasn't. He has just gotten a bit bamboozled, but he does pick it back up with the Lara. Still looking for our first down. He does some nice movement there. Curve around the jungle gym. Still chasing the Lara here. Oh, as unfortunate as he does get stuck on the fence. But this is looking dangerous for the Lara. Nice crouch and movement there to dodge the chainsaw, but she's going to make it back to the pallet. And I believe that window has now just become unblocked. Very, very good timing for our Lara there. As it looks like we are going to be leaving as the first gen does pop. But Dub does get his first down on Dystopia, who is going to be hooked mid-map. Very good place to hook a survivor. So I believe they did a gen over at 3 or 4. as another gen does pop in the distance, and that is main. Which is interesting, as that's usually one of the gens that you want to leave last, but I suppose they do have a gen at 10, which does keep the map or the gen split very large, as Shaq does get dropped, and Lara does take a hit for her troubles over the window. And nice stun there from Renato. So, Jen, question to you. How would you say this is going so far from Sirenia's side?
Unfortunately, it looks like Dub is in a little bit of trouble here. PMA survivors have done a really, really good job so far to be able to keep the pressure on Dub. Um, Although, as you did say, yes, the gen pop up in main was definitely a bit of an interesting way to go, because as we do know, trying to keep main and statue to be your last generators, that will help, especially with like high mobility killers. Keeping those two generators will definitely help try to minimize like a really nasty tight 3 gen. But as we see here, Moof has just gone down. Billy was able to hit Moof over the window and securing another down. So this will be a second hook for Dub.
Yeah, totally agree with what you said. It's but they do get the gen by 9 pops. But I agree. He's in a it's looking a lot better now for him. Finding a down straight onto Dystopia after hooking Moof. So 2 survivors are going to be marinating on the hooks at once. As Renato looks like he's going to have to trade for Moof, who does get off the hook, and it looks like we're going to be leaving Renato on the floor and trying to do some fancy footwork with our Billy to try and get a hit on Lara, but it looks like we are just going to take the hook on the Renato, as a 4th gen does pop, and that is 10 that pops. So yeah, I think they still managed to avoid the 3 gen. I think the fact that there's a gen just in front of main makes it a little bit more difficult to 3 gen. They got pretty good gen RNG from a PMA survivor side, but Renato was able to get the unhook onto Ace, so now all survivors are off the hook, and it's not looking very good for Dub. But the game is not over till it's over, as that gen is very, very close to being popped, as he does find 100 hours. Who is going to be moving around the jungle gym as he comes close to finding the Jake with that chainsaw, as he is trying some very fancy stuff around these rocks that have some questionable collision, as I'm sure lots of Billy players know, as he does nearly catch Lara there, cross the map with the chainsaw sprint. But it looks like the Lara is going to be hopping into a locker just to force the pull, as that gen is very, very close to being popped. And it was another gen. They had 2 gens with high progress, as it does get popped. And yeah, I think the Jake just being able to stay healthy there really stopped the full impact of Thanophobia, which could have proved to stop that last gem from popping, but eventually did not, as the Lara does get unhooked, but we are going to be looking to chase the Ace over to the door, which I believe is not the one that is being opened. It looks like... was that a dead hard? Very nice dead hard from Erase, who looks to be trying to make it to hatch. Will he get it? He won't get it. The Billy manages to stomp the hatch and then down the Ace. Very well played from both sides there. as I believe this means that this secures the win for the set for PMA, which is very well played by both sides.
Absolutely. So, thank you so much, Lucky, for being my co-caster. I know that you took main caster role there. I do always enjoy casting with you. It's always such a pleasure. And as we saw there, everyone, this concludes this matchup against Sirenia versus PMA, with PMA taking out a win of 2-0 against Sirenia. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys a little bit later.